As a college student, I don't have a lot of time for movies or TV, but I did recently take a break to watch a movie. Instead of Batman or Superman, I watched the new Will Smith movie, Concussion. Concussion is a movie about football. I'm not really a fan, but I think Will Smith is cool, so I decided to watch it. In the movie, Will Smith plays a forensic medical examiner that was trying to diagnose the untimely cause of death of a famous football player. In one of the early scenes, Will Smith is in a colleague's office and is playing with a Newton's cradle. I guess this was a thematic device to represent the math that Will Smith's character had to do in order to diagnose the football player's illness. But that got me thinking about Newton and how cool he was. Newton discovered the laws of motion, which is the math that explains how gravity works. The amazing thing is, he did this a full generation before Einstein discovered how gravity actually does work. If I was to ask you who the smartest scientist alive today is, many of you would say Stephen Hawking. Well, Newton held the same chair at Cambridge University that Hawking now holds. Okay, maybe you'd say Neil deGrasse Tyson is the smartest scientist. If you ask old Neil what famous scientist he would like to have lunch with, he would say Sir Isaac Newton. If you were a scientist for NASA or a simple claims adjuster looking at automobile accidents, you use Newton's math daily. Newton was so smart that he invented, or rather discovered, calculus in less than 2 months. When he looked up at an apple and the moon in the distance, he was able to figure out it was the same energy, gravity, that affects them both. And then he figured out the math to prove that relationship. Newton wasn't just smart, he was humble and well-spoken. One of my favorite quotes from him is, "If I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants." Yes, Newton was way cool. But let's get back to football. In the movie, Will Smith's character had to figure out the death of the football player Mike Webster. Mike Webster was 250 pounds and could run the 40-yard dash in 5 seconds. If we use Newton's formula, force equals mass times acceleration, we can see that he hits with 36.24 newtons of force. Let's say he runs head-on into a player on the opposing team that can run just as fast but only weighs 200 pounds. Using the same formula, we can see the second player hits with 29 newtons of force. According to Newton's laws of conservation, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So we can combine those two hits for a combined total of 65.23 newtons of force. Now let's see what that is in joules. Another of Newton's equation gives us kinetic energy equals 1/2 mass times velocity squared, plus 1/2 mass times velocity squared. That'll equal joules. We'll see that those hits equal to 2,392.7 joules. But what does that mean? Let's use another of Newton's equations to figure it out. Kinetic energy equals mass times acceleration, which is the speed of gravity, times height. So 2,392.7 joules is like having a 10-pound weight dropped on your head from 53.9 meters, which is a little more than 17 feet. The average linebacker, if he plays until he's 40 years old, will take 60 to 70,000 of these kinds of hits. Can you imagine a 10-pound weight dropped on your head 60,000 times? Because of Newton's math, they have now changed the way football players tackle each other. In conclusion, the movie Concussion was pretty cool, but Sir Isaac Newton, he was way super cool.
I know a friend named Roy G.